You know, if you put a Mentos candy and a Diet Coke together, it erupts dramatically, right? And after seeing this, do you wonder what would happen if we actually ate both of those? Well, if you were around in the 70s, you would also remember that we had the same question about eating a fizzy candy that supposedly killed Mikey, the Life cereal kid. This is All Request History. If you've ever wondered about the history of, well, anything, you're in the right place. And right now, only 3% of viewers are subscribed, so please take a second to click that little subscribe button in the bottom right. It helps our channel out tremendously, and once subscribed, you can put your request in the comments, and then you could be the next video on All Request History. Thanks this time to subscriber Cool Beans Mom Kennedy for requesting the history of Pop Rocks. Pop Rocks were invented in the 1950s by chemist William A. Mitchell from Hoboken, New Jersey. He worked as a chemist for General Foods. He was the creator of Cool Whip dessert topping and the orange drink sensation called Tang. In 1956, he started working on a formula of crystallized sugar to help these little crystals for a sparkling Kool-Aid. He couldn't quite get the formula right, so he just gave up. The sugar concoction he made dried up into a weird-looking crystal, and rather than just tossing them in the garbage, he decided to try one. Imagine his surprise when it cracked and burst once it hit his tongue. He collected them in a bag, added a little bit of flavor, and gave some to his secretary to try and brought the rest home for his kids. It became a sensation, but only among the people who knew William. Friends, family, co-workers, they all kept asking him to make a batch for them. The suits at General Foods, however, they thought it was a freakish science experiment and they would never allow it to be marketed. In 1974, General Foods announced German-born Hermann Neff as their vice president. While he was on tour at a manufacturing plant in Tarrytown, New York, Hermann met Mitchell in his office, and he offered him a handful of these novelty fizzy candies that he always seemed to have on hand. Hermann's response was, "Kids will flip for this stuff." Hermann immediately brought the candy to a focus group where kids who ate them literally jumped from their seats and giggled. Mass production began right away. Neff's 7-year-old son's school class was tasked to come up with a name for them, and they landed with Pop Rocks. The production of this new sensation, however, was not easy. Making the candy on a large scale turned out to be quite dangerous. It was carbon dioxide, molten sugar, heated to over 200 degrees, under 600 pounds of pressure. Then it was cooled, dried, and smashed with actual hammers into small chunks. One worker on the team actually lost his finger one day. They were, however, a huge success for General Foods, and they took the candy world by storm. Within the first 2 weeks of its introduction starting in the Midwest, General Foods reported 90% of the area population had purchased it, and it began generating $150 million in profit per year. It became so popular that they had trouble making enough for the demand. Some school kids had started an underground market by buying them up at every place they could find and then reselling them at their school. Sometimes kids were collecting up to $100 per pound. That's $15 per bag. By 1978, General Foods was now producing 5 million pounds of Pop Rocks per year. That's 2.7 billion pouches coming out of 3 factories and still selling out of most stores. But that was prior to 1979. That is when everything changed. You see, that's when Mikey died. Okay, wait a minute. He didn't really die. Not at all. In fact, today, he's still alive and well and living in Pelham, New York with his wife and 3 kids. He was the director of marketing in Madison Square Garden for years, and he has credits in camera and art departments in films like Speed 2 and The Notebook. Yeah, he's still alive. But in 1979, when he was 11 years old and playing baseball near his Westchester, New York home, his mother got a phone call from a friend crying, saying, "I'm so sorry to hear about your son." Well, the original rumor has never really been proven, but some speculate that one school prank became a tale that these crazy popping candies can kill you if you eat too many and drink soda. And then, of course, they dared each other to try it. To make the story more convincing, they randomly picked a very popular commercial reference at the time, Mikey eating Life cereal. Making up that story that Mikey actually died from trying the experiment, well, this story grew legs, a lot of legs. Now remember, this is 1979. There's no social media, no internet, no streaming news on the cell phone, so not a whole lot of fact-checking going on. But there was a strong urban legend rumor mill. General Foods phones were ringing off the hook. They had to set up a special 24-hour hotline and hire operators to assure concerned consumers that Pop Rocks were not a killer and that Mikey was in fact still alive. They also hired operators to make outgoing calls to school principals across America to assure the safety of the candy. Executives even took out a full-page ad in every major newspaper in the country to print, and this is an actual quote, "Pop Rocks can induce nothing worse in the human body than a hearty, non-threatening belch." They even called Mikey's house to try and convince his mother to do a commercial for Pop Rocks, telling America that he was alive and well. He was still under contract with Quaker Oats, the Life cereal people, and of course, they didn't agree to let him do it. I guess it's in case they needed him to do another "He likes it, hey Mikey" commercial. All these efforts were not enough to shake the scare, the rumor, or the declining popularity of the candy. So much so that Pop Rocks were discontinued in 1982. General Foods was stuck with a lot of surplus. In fact, warehouses filled with candy were forced to haul it away in semi-trucks and literally drop it into landfills. According to Marv Rudolph, a marketing executive from General Foods during that time, they lost a total of $30 to $40 million in total during that time. Only 3 years later, however, in 1985, a Spanish candy maker, Zeta Especial, bought the rights and the formula and began making the candy once again. Certainly not at the same rate as they were making it in the 70s, but still doing okay. The retro culture has been having some fun with it. The TV show The Goldbergs devoted an entire episode to Pop Rocks. The deadly stomach explosions have been debunked on the show Mythbusters, and Green Day even recorded a song called Pop Rocks and Coke. The song is not about Pop Rocks and Coke, it's just named Pop Rocks and Coke. So for the record, according to many sources, which you can find the links to in the show notes, Pop Rocks are not dangerous, and eating them while you're drinking Coke, I'm not going to try it. The candy itself, without the Coke, it's a fun, snappy, tasty treat, so come on, give it a try. It's not like it's going to kill you. Well, thanks for checking in. Are you curious? What do you want to know the history of? Hit the subscribe button here, put your request in the comments below, and you could be the next All Request History.